Chapter 14. Santiago. The stadium erupted in cheers as Santiago scored the final goal, breaking the tie with the opposing team and winning the game 3-2 with only mere seconds left on the clock. His teammates immediately jumped on him, one of them lifting him up in a bear hug. He laughed joyously at the affection he was receiving from his teammates as he tried to push them off. Bien hecho, Santiago, his coach exclaimed, giving him one of his rare smiles and patting him on the back. Santiago beamed at the praise, and out of the crowd he heard a voice call out to him, "Good job, Santiago!" He looked up into the stands to his papa, who was clapping happily and giving him a thumbs up, accompanied by the biggest grin. Santiago waved at his papa excitedly, his eyes beginning to search the seat next to him. Where was Anya? He was positive that he had seen her when he scored the first goal. Could she already be waiting for him in the locker room? He grinned. Of course she was. After all, he had just won the game. With that in mind, he allowed himself to be ushered back to the locker rooms by his teammates, who were taking turns picking on him and jumping on him, excitement still running in the air. Praises could be heard throughout the dressing room as the boys replayed the best moves of the game enthusiastically. Did you see the way he evaded number 10? That was crazy. I couldn't have done it without Alejandro's help, Santiago grinned. That pass was Messi-like. Alejandro, a short boy with dark skin and black hair, took an exaggerated bow. Gracias, gracias. Okay, boys, the coach exclaimed, getting everyone's attention. Good game today, but don't get cocky. We play against Instituto Excepcional de Benito Juárez in a couple weeks. Go home and get some rest, but stay hungry. Great job today. The players erupted in roars of excitement. We're gonna crush them, they yelled. Though Santiago couldn't stop grinning at his team's excitement over their victory today, his thoughts turned back to Anya. Maybe he hadn't walked up to her on the field, but it didn't mean that he couldn't do so outside the locker room. Would it seem strange if he picked her up in his arms after scoring 2 goals, one of them being the winning one? Just the thought of having her in his arms was enough to send an electrical current running through his body. He got up quickly and slipped out unnoticed. Ernesto was waiting outside, arms open wide, and Santiago smiled, racing into them. "Santiago, you did so well. I'm so proud of you, mijo," he exclaimed. Santiago beamed with pride at his papa's words, but his eyes still searched his surroundings. "Papa, where is Anya?" "Oh," Ernesto said, looking around and suddenly realizing that she was, in fact, not with him. "I'm not sure. She was with me. Then she said she was going to the bathroom. Let's walk that way. Maybe we'll run into her. By the way, I got you this. You need to stay hydrated." His papa handed him a Gatorade, his favorite frost flavor, but Santiago suddenly felt like a deflated balloon. All the good feelings from winning the game began to vanish into the background. All he could think about was that Anya hadn't seen him score the final goal. She hadn't seen the way the crowd cheered for him, or the way his teammates had praised him. She hadn't seen him ascend to greatness. Anya wasn't anywhere near the restrooms, nor was she near the concession stands. Not sure where she could have gone, Ernesto scratched his head. Maybe she started feeling bad and made her way back up to the car? Santiago felt himself take a deep breath in frustration. Seriously, in 3.5 years that he had known her, he had never once seen Anya get sick. So that was unlikely. If anything, she had just decided to leave before his game had even ended. He felt annoyance rise up inside him. How could she do that to him? What was she thinking? What could have possibly happened that she would not be present to greet him? He felt himself growing more embittered with each step. He wanted to crush his fantasy of picking Anya up after the winning goal, set it on fire, and bury it. He was an idiot for thinking that she cared for him as much as he did for her. His thoughts stopped abruptly as he heard voices coming from around the corner of the stadium wall. Was he imagining it? Or was that Anya's voice? The pitch sounded so familiar. His feet began speed-walking toward the voices, and with each step, he became more certain that he was indeed hearing Anya's voice. "Santiago, espera!" his papa called after him. "If you aren't going to answer me, I'm going to have to take a piece of your pretty little hair home," a voice hissed. Santiago ran the last couple of steps in alarm. He turned the corner, his eyes settling on the scene in front of him. A fury unlike anything he had ever known before rose up inside him like wildfire.